Join us and discover beautiful beaches, rugged landscapes, pretty towns, desolate mountain ranges that sweep down to stunning lakes, unique architecture, history and folklore, no shamrocks, no shillelaghs, and definitely no shenanigans, just naked Ireland. So the 12th of July comes around every year, obviously. Unfortunately, some would say. And with it comes turmoil. Its celebrants seem to be eager to antagonise and the attempt to return the whole community each year to those days when loyalism dominated, in the worst and most militant possible sense of the word. And yet it's inevitable we've moved on. We won't be returning, Protestants or Catholics, to the dark period in our history. Nevertheless, annually, around Loyalist marching season, the peace is disturbed yet again and we're dragged back, against everyone's will, to the sectarian days of the past. Now, I've avoided discussing the mayhem of the 12th celebrations on this site. It's just too depressing, and frankly, it would be very hard to find any positives there, and I like to remain positive where human nature is concerned. But I did recently look at the 12th of July in its historical context, and I looked at the battlefield in County Meath and discussed the battle's protagonists and its European significance. But something caught my attention today that I simply couldn't let pass without comment, and it was this. This is the Loyalist 12th of July bonfire in Moygashel County Tyrone. It's a big one, as you can see, but here on the top, poised to be burnt on the 11th night, are effigies of immigrants sitting in a boat. The dummies representing the immigrants have stockings over their heads, leaving us in no doubt who the enemy of these perverse loyalists are. Unfortunate black people, presumably from Syria, Sudan, wherever, fleeing persecution in their own countries and hoping for a better life in our own. The loyalist celebrants have decided that the place of these immigrants is not to be processed by law or given asylum or even refused asylum, but to be burnt on a bonfire. And I think this is perhaps one of the sickest things I've seen enacted as part of the glorious 12th, and believe me, there's been plenty of competition. You'd have to ask yourself, regardless of where you stand in terms of the immigration issue, where these people get their hatred from. What possesses people to consider such a perverse and inhuman reaction to the problem of immigration? I ask myself, is this really the face of loyalism in 2025? Or is there something sinister at work behind the scenes? Something malevolent whipping up this hatred and stirring up a racial storm to replace or at least augment the old sectarian one? Now, before people start commenting and complaining about immigration, this is not about immigration. This is about singling out innocent people for attack. This is about dehumanising a group of people, and given that we'll have children at this bonfire, I think this is a dark road loyalism is taken. Now, of course, loyalists have been burning effigies for years. Robert Lundy, the infamous character perceived by Unionists as Derry's traitor, is the perfect example. Though, of course, Lundy has been dead now for more than 300 years. In that sense, I guess, that activity is not that much different from English people burning Guy Fawkes. But the people represented by the effigies in this boat are very much alive, probably just about in some cases. Are loyalists saying that this treatment will be their fate? If so, this isn't any different from the lynchings of the Ku Klux Klan. Traditionally, of course, it's the Pope that gets burnt on top of a bonfire. Well, I guess the Pope can handle it. He's not exactly powerless. It may not be right either, but it's not as depraved as what's happening here. But there's a pattern emerging here. This is Moygashel last year, and yes, that's a police car on top. This in itself seems bizarre, in that it's the police who allow this kind of thing to happen in the first place. These acts never seem to be seen as hate crimes, but more about that in a minute. First, here's a clip of the Moygashel bonfire in 2023, and yes, that's a boat. I admit the metaphor isn't that clear here, but in essence these people are violently opposed to the Good Friday Agreement, the single most positive step forward ever in terms of peace in this part of the world, leading to the decommissioning of weapons and the standing down of the main paramilitaries. These people don't want peace, it seems, and on top of it, they're burning a picture of Leo Varadkar, the Irish Taoiseach at the time. So the question is, will the police act on this occasion and take steps to remove this disgusting abomination? Or is racism from Loyalists now to be tolerated alongside sectarianism? So you might be saying, the police don't tolerate sectarianism? Well, you may have heard in the news recently that a certain cheeky young rapper from the Falls Road found himself up in court on terrorist charges, accused of having a flag of a prescribed organisation on stage. It's strange that the police have decided to prosecute in this case, since there are flags of prescribed organisations all around this bonfire. In fact, these flags are commonplace in many parts of Belfast. And the police won't either remove them or prosecute the people who hang them. So maybe they should forget that young rapper's terrorist charge, or start taking action here. Burning an effigy of a bunch of black men in a boat, given the current political climate, is a hate crime. It's something we don't want in our community, and I would urge the people responsible and their supporters and apologists, many of whom no doubt will comment, to accept that and do something about it. And remember, this film is not about immigration, it's about hatred.